Hi, in this topic or discussion, we will be talking about the definition of terms. So in research, definition of terms is very important for us to communicate to the reader what do we meant by the variables or what do we meant by the problem that we are trying to determine or that we are trying to investigate on. To prevent confusion and to conceptualize and operationalize our research, we need the definition of terms. Now, I would just like to have the disclaimer that this recorded lecture is intended for a Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, Level 3. It does not constitute medical advice or imply research-based evidences. So part of this discussion may not be suitable for the general public. If there are any concerns regarding this presentation, you could email me on the email reflected on the slide. The references used for this discussion are shown on the slide. So most of the definitions from this discussion are coming from this reference text. Now, let's talk about the major types of definitions. There are actually two major types of definitions. One is your conceptual definition, and the other one is your operational definition. Now, when I talk about conceptual definition, the key word that you need to remember is that it is an abstract and it is general definition in nature. In other words, when I say conceptual definition, this is definition coming from the dictionary. This is the definition by the concept itself as it is generally known to the public. Okay, so it's a general definition. When we talk about operational definition is the meaning of your concept or terms as applied in a particular study. So your words here are applied in a particular study. In other words, how is it being used in the operation? And in this case, your operation is the one which is your research. So when I say operational definition, again, it will be specific to your study. Okay, again, conceptual definition is the dictionary definition, abstract and general. Operational definition, it's more specific to a particular study. Now, let's look at this example for you to be enlightened on. So, attitude refers to the mental disposition, feeling, or emotion toward a state or a fact. This is the conceptual definition of attitude. Okay, this is the conceptual definition of attitude. May be taken from an author, an expert, or the dictionary definition of attitude. Now, you will hear the phrase or you will see the phrase in this study that already signals that this is the operational definition of the variable. So in this study, this means the students' feeling towards the school authorities as indicated by their responses to the attitudinal question in the questionnaire. Highlighted in green is already the operational definition of attitude. Look at that. When I talk about attitude, operational or conceptual definition first, it's general. It talks about mental disposition. It's general. It could be your attitude towards whatever, attitude towards your classmates, attitude towards a certain event, attitude towards politics. But when it comes to the operational definition, it is made clear. It is made clear that this is the feeling towards the school authorities. So it's more specific. Okay, it's more specific to your research. Oftentimes, in the definition of variable, we would have the four components. So you have the conceptual, operational, measurement, and categories. We would usually say COMC. This is very particular in the pursuit of your quantitative research. So conceptual definition, operational definition, how is the variable or how will be the variable measured, and what are the categories that we will be using for this variable. Now, look at this example. This is from my research in my master's thesis. So if you would look at it, the variable that we are trying to define here is the quality of life of children with epilepsy. Now, I defined first quality of life according to Ravens and Siberer, and colleagues, which says that QOLCE is a multi-dimensional construct that would cover physical, emotional, mental, social, as assessed by their patients. Now, in this study, by the time that you see the word in this study, that's already signaling that this is your operational definition of terms. So in this study, it refers to the quality of life of children with epilepsy, which includes those aspects: cognitive, emotional, social, physical functioning of children diagnosed with epilepsy as perceived by their parents. So as you can see, it's already specific. I've mentioned epilepsy already, and that as perceived by their parents. So the continuation actually of your operational definition is that how will it be measured? So since this is already a final paper, it is written in past tense. But if you're making a proposal, it should be in future tense. So it will be measured using a validated questionnaire entitled Quality of Life in Children with Epilepsy Questionnaire version 1.0 by Goodwin et al. In 2015. So because this questionnaire is adapted, I need to specify who is the author of the questionnaire. If it is the researchers who prepared the questionnaire, you could just say that this is the variable or the quality of life was measured using a 25-item researcher-made questionnaire. Okay, so as you can see, it is composed of 55 items with the following distribution. Now, if you would look at this, so this is the entirety of the explanation of the questionnaire. And then the scores will be categorized as follows. So high if the score is 76 to 100, average if the score is 51 to 75, and low if it is 50 and below. So these are the categories that I have been talking about. So when I talk about definition of terms, it will be clearer on the part of our reader if you're able to specify the conceptual definition, operational definition, how it's measured, and then how it will be categorized. So the COMC that I have given you. Next, this is an example in terms of age. So when I say age, age refers to the age of an individual as of their last birthday. So the age of the child with epilepsy was classified into the following categories. So you have preschool, school. Okay, the age of the parent was classified into early adult and middle adult. So there are two ages from my study. So as you can see, this is the conceptual definition. Okay, and also at the same time, this is the operational definition. We're talking about the age of children with epilepsy as the operational definition. I did not mention anymore how to measure because this is just a simple questionnaire. And then I've mentioned already the categories: preschool, school, adolescent, early adult, middle adult. Okay, this is another example for sex. So commonly, in the definition of terms, it is the variables under study that is being defined. Okay? You do not need to define all the terms in your titles unless the term would warrant an operational definition, which is not commonly understandable for the general public. But if the title itself is understandable, you don't need to detail them on the conceptual and operational definition. You just need to define the variables under study. Now, monthly family income, for example, these are the categories. Okay, schooling status, these are the categories. The age on first seizure attack, these are the categories that are being used. Now, let's talk about the variables. There are several variables in your research, as you might have already encountered in the preparation of your title and then also on the preparation of your paradigm for your research. Now, to enlighten you more on that, the variables of the study. So when I talk about research variables, they are measurable qualities, properties, or characteristics of people, things, events, or situation under that study. Okay? Now, take note, the term is measurable. They are qualities, they are properties, characteristics of either the people, things, events, or situation. That would depend on the type of research that you are conducting. Now, when I talk about measurable qualities, okay, the measurable qualities would usually be related to your quantitative research. Okay, measurable qualities is more of quantitative research. But then variables could also be quantitative and qualitative in origin. Okay, or by nature, it could be quantitative or qualitative. The best way for us to differentiate that is that by saying that quantitative could be numerical, whereas qualitative is more stated on your words, okay, or in terms of words or in terms of descriptions by the participants. Now, there are different types of variables. The first variable that you need to remember is your independent variable. As a student nurse, it is part of the competencies that you need to understand the difference between the independent and dependent variable. So usually, when I say independent variable, it is the presumed cause. Okay, we're saying the presumed cause. Now, that would vary in context if you are looking into correlational research or experimental research. If it is a descriptive correlational or comparative research, we are usually looking into antecedent variables or other factors that might have come before the dependent variable. So in an experimental research, it is the cause, since you are talking about the variable being manipulated. So when I say independent variable, it is the factors that are being manipulated by the researcher. Okay, again, it is the factor being manipulated by the researcher. Picture out an experiment wherein we are experimenting if which is better. Is it fertilizer A, fertilizer B, fertilizer C? The one that is being manipulated by the researcher is the type of the fertilizer. So A, B, or C in this case. That is the focus of the inquiry of the researcher, for the researcher to find out if what is more effective. Is it the fertilizer A, the fertilizer B, or the fertilizer C? In other contexts, it is also referred to as experimental. It is also referred to as treatment variable, causal variable, or stimulus variable. These are other names of your independent variable. Now, to some extent, the variability of the independent variable is said to influence the variability of the dependent variable being studied. In other words, or in layman's term, we could say that the independent variable somehow affects your dependent variable. That's why it's referred to as an independent variable. It is not affected by the another variable, but it affects the other variable. Hence, independent variable. Now, you have the term dependent variable. When I say dependent variable, it is the presumed effect. Okay, again, it is the presumed effect. So these are the factors that are affected or influenced by the independent variable. In the example earlier, type of fertilizer and growth of a certain vegetable. Okay. Now, in that case, the dependent variable will be the growth of the vegetable. The independent variable is the type of fertilizer. Depending on the type of fertilizer, there might be good growth, there might be a high yield, there might be a very good weight for the plant that you are investigating on. Your dependent variable is also known as the criterion variable, the effect variable, also known as your response variable or outcome variable, which captures the interest of the researcher. Now look at that criterion. In other words, the criteria that you need to check into. The effect, the response, they are all effects, and the outcomes. So that's why presumed effect reflects change brought about or caused by the independent variable. So in this case, it reflects the changes that has been caused by your independent variable. If whatever changes were done to the independent variable, the effect will be measured in the dependent variable. Let us talk about your intervening variable. So when I say intervening variable, these are factors or variables that can come between the independent and dependent variable. One thing that you can think of is that it's a bridge between your independent and dependent variable. So it can influence the effect of your independent variable to your dependent variable. Let's say, for example, if the knowledge of a student could lead to good practices, the attitude can be an intervening variable. Because, let's take it for example, that a student has a very good knowledge or very high knowledge, but the attitude towards the subject matter is negative. The tendency of the student is not to convert this knowledge to practices. Okay, so intervening variable could influence the effect of the independent and dependent variable. Now, it's also referred to as your mediator variable. On the other hand, we also have the term antecedent variable. If we will put it in the context of a timeline, your antecedent variable would happen before the independent and then the dependent variable. In other words, it occurs even before your independent variable. But take note, it's an antecedent. Being an antecedent, it does not directly affect, it does not directly influence the independent and dependent relationship. However, it just precedes the relationship in time. Oftentimes, we're talking about socio-demographic characteristics here. Okay, so let's say for example, the antecedent variable, socio-demographic characteristics could influence the knowledge of the participants. Okay, but we are not certain. Okay, we are not certain to what degree, and we are not very certain, or we could not establish a causal relationship between the antecedent and then the independent variable. Whereas in the case of your independent and dependent variable, we know that one possible cause of the effects on the dependent variable is your independent variable. Your antecedent highlight does not directly affect, it does not directly influence the relationship of these two variables. Allow me to point out examples to give a clear context. So this is from the study entitled Differences in Perceptions of End-of-Life Care Between Patients and Family Members in Selected Oncology Clinics in Iloilo City. So the focus of our research here is cancer patients. Basically, our intent is to find out if there is a difference between how the patient would want to deal with end-of-life care issues compared to that of the family members, considering that here in the Philippines, the decisions of the patient are strongly influenced by that of the family members. So if you look at it, we consider the patient characteristics here as an independent variable, and their dependent variable is the perception about end-of-life care issues. So as you can see, it depends on the context of the study. So in this case, the presumed cause are age, sex, marital status, educational attainment, religion, income, source of income, primary healthcare decision maker, then the cancer site, and then the stage of cancer. So these are presumed causes based on the review of related literatures. So we could not just say, oh, this variable could be possibly influencing the dependent variable without having a basis based on the literatures. Next, if you would look at this research, it would contain the four types of variables. You'd have the antecedent variable, the independent variable, and then you have your intervening variable, and then your dependent variable. So you have your antecedent variable. So characteristics. Look at the type of assignment. Is it an assignment focused on teaching? Is it an assignment focused on administration? Then the number of first aid training that the teacher undergone, and then the type of school where they are currently working. Is it a public school or is it a private school? Now, we assumed or presumed that these variables could possibly in some way influence the independent variable. But that influence, as I mentioned earlier, is not direct. And then I've mentioned also that when it comes to antecedent variable, the antecedent variable would come first than the independent variable. So as you can see, the demographic characteristics here, the type of assignment, okay, chronologically would come first before the knowledge. Now, the knowledge is seen as an independent variable. Then the attitude is seen as an intervening variable, and then the practices on health and accident emergency management is seen as a dependent variable. If you would look at the three, it means that knowledge here is the presumed cause, which would lead to the presumed effect, which is practices. However, according to our review of literature, this relationship could be influenced, could be altered by the attitude of the teachers. So our study basically focused on health and accident emergency management. In a simple context, it focused on the knowledge of the teachers about first aid and their practices about first aid, being the first people to encounter the students or pupils at school when there will be accidents or when there will be emergency cases. So there are a lot of teachers we presumed to have high knowledge, and we presume that this high knowledge would convert to good practices. However, studies have also shown that there are teachers who are afraid, who are fearful of touching the child, who might be anxious of touching the child, who might not want to address the concern because that is not within her scope of work. That's why we inserted attitude as an intervening variable. In your line of research, it could be possible that the attitude and practices are both dependent variable. It may also be possible that your knowledge and attitude could be both independent variable. And that would depend again on your review of literatures. Now, look at this research. Factors associated with quality of life among children with epilepsy in Iloilo City. So as you can see here, Okay, the antecedent variable are the characteristics of the children with epilepsy. Okay, please take note, we do not refer to them as epileptics because epileptics is not politically correct. Characteristics of parents is also considered as an antecedent variable. Now, our independent variable, the knowledge about epilepsy and then adherence to treatment, and then the quality of life of children with epilepsy as the dependent variable. So we are seeing that parents maybe with high knowledge probably would have children with good quality of life when it comes to epilepsy. Then those who are adhering to treatment may have good quality of life, okay, with among children with epilepsy. So again, the basis for this is our theoretical context and then also our review of related literature. Now, let's talk about the nature of measurement of variables in the succeeding discussion.